Well, he spent 9 seasons as the chief on the hit CBS drama CSI Titusville, and he joins us this morning, Harold Minch.
I feel like the guy from Penn and Teller that doesn't say anything when he's reading the news. Sit here and make faces. Every once in a while, I just want to look at him funny, for no reason whatsoever.
And now we'd like you to comment on each and every one of those stories this morning.
Well, the one of them was interesting. The stolen car on fire. Adds a whole new dimension to that's a hot car. I've got more.
No, that's good.
We're here all week.
I'll be here all week. Try the veal. Show starts every hour.
Chief Harold Minch joins us from the Titusville Police Department. Good to see you this morning.
Good to be here this morning. Summer's in full swing.
It is.
Couple of things.
Okay.
The parks. We've talked about them all week. Put a couple things on Facebook. We've had some vandalism in some of them. Some tagging, which is the spray paint and so forth. We'd ask that anybody that sees that going on call us. Parks are for kids and parents and people to have fun in and play in and that kind of thing. They're not for vandals and hooligans or whatever you'd like to call them. Do we still call them hooligans?
Oh, yeah.
Do we? Thank you.
Or marking your territory or whatever.
Okay, well, that's farther than I thought we were going to go with that. We just really want, to make sure that in the parks that we have a controlled environment for children to go enjoy themselves, that parents feel safe sending them there. And we do here. We have a nice park system. Now we have a couple of really nice ones. We've had some problems up at Roberts Grove. It's right in the middle of the neighborhoods. And, kids do gather there. And I understand you get a little bored. I got it. But we got to find some other things to do and waste channeling your energy. Other than that, we're unfortunately getting to the point where somebody's probably going to end up, paying the price for that one, because it's not pranks. It's expensive. It's costing the city quite a bit of money. So we'd ask that if you see something in the parks that, that's not proper, just call us. We'll come down there. We're going to try to talk to them, try to straighten them out. They're kids.
Roberts Grove always surprises me because that's such a busy area.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you get the hospital right there.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things going on. People just drive by stuff, though. You don't really see it. And these kids are quick, They're wily little fellas. They get in there and they get out. And again, most of the time they don't. It's not planned. I don't think they mean. I don't think they say, "Hey, let's go over to the park and tear it up." I think they get there and start being kids. So they just need a little guidance, and we're going to give it to them.
Okay.
We'd appreciate if you'd call us if you see it going on. They've destroyed a couple of things, and again, it's expensive to replace this stuff.
We're coming up on the 4th of July, and of course the stores have been packed with all the sparklers and all that fun stuff.
Hate them.
Okay.
I hate them. I hate to say that. I know it's fun. When I was a kid, we played with them. But, boy, I'll tell you, they're dangerous. You got to be really, really careful. If you're going to have fireworks, sparklers, whatever you're going to have, sober adult supervision is important. When I mean one adult for each kid. You really have to watch them. This stuff is on fire. It burns you. It explodes. It pops. It gets in your eyes. So we've seen people lose hands. We have an NFL player that lost half his hand come on. You just got to be very, very careful with this stuff. We'd rather you go to a fireworks show. I certainly would do that. But if you're not going to do that, you're going to do it at the house, be careful. Be real careful.
Is it one of those things where you, when you came in, because you've been here almost a year now, right?
Just about.
So
July 17.
Do you come in and say, hey, how did things go last 4th of July?
Absolutely. And they go very well in the city. Most of that stuff's going to take place in the county, but it's our city people. And it's been everywhere I've ever worked. Somebody ends up burning themselves or lighting something on fire. Because you got to remember, if it shoots stuff, it's exploding to get it out of there, and it's on fire when it leaves. So if it's dry, which it hasn't been, it's been raining, which is good. It catches on fire with all these old barns and hay and everything else. You just really have to be careful. I know it's fun, but you got to be real careful. I don't want to be a killjoy, but I'd rather see nobody get hurt.
Right. Well, and as you say, there's so many communities that put on displays,
and they're much better. It's much easier. Pack the kids up, go see it. They're nice. And again, waving a sparkler around, is that going to hurt anybody? Not if it's properly supervised, but. If it's not, and then somebody has too much to drink and bottle rockets start going at people, and, we've all seen it. It's a recipe for disaster. I mean, who put a firecracker on the end of a stick? That just doesn't make sense. Who's first got to do that? Hey, watch this. Hold my beer. Hold my beer. And then now we have them everywhere. Now they sell them at the store.
That's right.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Discounted too.
Yeah, selling for $1. That's it. It really doesn't. And again, 4th of July is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be about picnics and family and fun and the country. And
the other side of that is obviously hinted about drinking there. I'm going to guess that folks are going to be out patrolling that weekend.
Absolutely. Not only us, state police, everybody. It's a big weekend. And again, nothing wrong if you want to have a little alcohol and imbibe in adult beverages if you're an adult. There is a problem with you driving after that taking place. So have somebody else who's sober. Just have somebody to to drive for you. My wife actually got her learner's permit this weekend. My wife has never driven, so she'll be driving soon. So that's a bonus. Not that I'll be partaking in the other thing, but still, just in case.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Just be careful out on the roadways.
The roadways always, and again, remember that people are where they're not usually at on holidays. They're in different places, so they're a little confused. We may have people from the city driving around on our roads. Aren't used to it, don't know where they're going, they may be turning around in funny places. So just be a little more careful.
Yeah,
Take time.
And be nice to those folks. I've noticed some out-of-towners going down the wrong way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did that when I first came to town. I stayed at the Quality.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did was go the wrong way on Central. So
that'd be funny if
I
you
gave
got pulled
myself
over.
a stern verbal warning.
Did you?
when I did. Stern. I was awful. I almost complained. I was just mean to me.
I think I saw the police report.
Yeah,
on
it was
that.
terrible.
So just a few things to remember for next week. My wife noticed a story I think last night. And this was in Ohio, where one county there were like 350 drug-related deaths.
We've talked about this a couple times. I've been doing this for about 6 years, making this speech. Opiates are going to change this country, and they have. And now we've got, and I hate to bang politicians, but I'm going to do it right here. We got politicians going, what? Not acceptable.
That's right, because I'm going to do it tomorrow. It's
not
fine.
acceptable. This has been going on for a long time. We've known about it for a long time. It's been coming for a long time. Again, I was in South Florida when the pill epidemic struck, way back when. I think we're talking 10, 11 maybe, when it was in its heyday. And here we are in 2017. We were making the speech, how it was going to walk out and how it was going to happen. It is happening. And we still have no help, no rehab recovery. There's nobody in Washington talking about doing that. There's no rehab recovery in most counties in Pennsylvania because we can't afford it. We can't afford not to have it, to be honest with you. It's killing tens of thousands of people a year. In Ohio, I have a friend of mine that is a chief in Akron. He's been doing this. Gosh, I was with him in 12 or 13 in Washington pleading to people.
Wow.
Because he was having more than an overdose death a day. Which is crazy for Akron, Ohio. It's 90,000 people, had 400 dead people in a year. Accidental overdose is the problem. It's surpassed traffic crashes. It's worse than the AIDS epidemic ever was. More people are dying from this than ever died from that. It's worse than the Iraqi war over all 10 years, every single year for American casualties. It's a disaster, and it just doesn't seem to be getting the push that it deserves. And unfortunately, it's because of money. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. It's just because of money. You got doctors, you got lawyers, you got pharmaceutical companies. Everybody has big pockets, and it's got to be stopped. It's crazy. It's not the answer. It's draining the economy.
Would people be surprised? Maybe at some of those numbers around here?
Oh, absolutely, everywhere. And that's the problem. It's not rural America. It's not any segment of any racial population. It is absolutely everybody inundated. Heroin is I never thought I'd say this. Heroin is a mainstream drug. Heroin now gets treated like it's like on the same level as marijuana, which is ridiculous. There are people dying every single day in this state from accidental overdose from opiates. Heroin, it doesn't matter which one it is, whether it's was previously legal prescribed or not, they're dying from it. And now they're adding fentanyl, carfentanil, every other mixture of powder or foolishness to it. And nobody seems to want to pay the attention that it needs. It's education. We got to tell our kids not to do it.
8:21 is our time. This is the Morning Drill on Stream Television, Armstrong, and the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. Speaking of marijuana, it seems like Pennsylvania is sort of ramped up in that department. Is anybody learning anything from Colorado and some of those states who have legalized it now for? And obviously, this is different with medical, but any takeaways from those states who have been doing it for a while?
I don't think it is any different with medical, because medical marijuana is just a way for mainstream marijuana to come about. Because I can't tell the difference between a bag of medical marijuana and a bag of any other marijuana on the planet. It's the same. It changes the availability. It changes. So that's, again, education. Is there some medical process to marijuana that helps people? I'm sure there are. I'm sure there is. It's not why most people use it. Most people want to get high. Most people want to forget about their day. And we just have to make some decisions on what we will allow and what we will not, and what's acceptable and what isn't. We have to get used to people, and they're doing it now, driving, and make the rules appropriate for that, just like we did with alcohol. It's very much the same. Again, people carrying it around, people are going to have it. It's education. Your children, we're not going to start doing it just because it's legal tomorrow. It just doesn't work that way. I'm never going to do heroin, even if you make it legal tomorrow, because I know better. And that's what we have to have. We have to have that built in, that you just don't do that. And that's what we're missing. It's that long-term education. And we've kind of missed the boat on it. We've got an entire generation here, maybe two, that ship has sailed on, and we need to get into that and get some personal responsibility back into what you put in your body.
Do you think kids today will understand that? Because I remember, talking about looking back a couple of years, obviously with the meth problem here. I remember them putting charts up that said, here's somebody before using it.
Oh, yeah, Faces of Meth, absolutely, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was.
And it's so sad. And the opiate problem is different than most of the things we have. Am I hitting that? Than most of the things that we've dealt with, because once you're in, boy, to get out is just hard. The centers in your brain, I don't know all the chemistry and all the psychology of it, but it's hard. It's a totally different game. It's a monster. And for people to recover from that is a very specific recovery, and it's very long term. You're going to fight that forever once you felt that feeling. And again, I've never done it, but I've watched it happen. I've seen it described to me, and I've been involved in it for years.
I think REO Speedwagon sang about it.
Yes, everybody has. And, that's the problem, is now we're thinking that, well, it's okay. Everybody does. So shoot, Bob does it, Mike does it, Timmy does it. Look at them, And I always remember that commercial, the two kids, the two gentlemen, they're grown, smoking weed in their basement, and they say, "Hey, Bobby, look at us. We've been smoking weed for 35 years. We ain't changed a bit." And their mother yells, "You better not be smoking in that basement." They're 35-year-old men doing nothing. And that's the problem, that, we've got a generation that's thinking that way. And that's our fault. We saw that coming.
In Oil City, they had a very successful DARE program until the funds got cut for that a few years ago. One of the things that really stuck with me on that is, many conversations with Chief Bob Winter down there. I don't know if you had a chance to meet with
I do know Bob.
With Bob. But Bob's feeling is that, if we're going to change anything, we're going to do it through the kids. The change will always be affected through the children.
Absolutely, no doubt. And we have to give them real information. Children have real information now. It's not like when we were kids or when I was a kid. I mean, that's 50 years ago. But children today have a lot of information. We need to give them the information they need, because they have availability to everything on the planet immediately, absolutely unfiltered. So for us to try to pretty it up is ridiculous. You got to tell them and show them what time it is. They can understand that. I'm not talking about kindergartners. By the time you get to middle school,
you'd be surprised though.
By the time you get to middle school, you should have real solid information about what narcotics is about, what it does to you, what it does to you long term, what it does to your family, what it does to your health, what it does to your psychology. You really should know that. And I think they can take that. I really do. I think kids now are smarter and faster. They can, but they've got to be taught it's about you. You got to make personal choices that are good. Life is about choices, and you need to make good ones, because there's a lot of dangerous stuff out there. We got that when I was a kid, and they weren't as dangerous, but they were there.
Well, I think I still have my headband. Say
Sorry
no.
to hear that, but
yeah,
okay.
The Nancy Reagan.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go.
Just say no?
Yeah, just say no. Just say no, I'll be honest with you, ain't working so well, because most of the people we have now are DARE graduates. I hate to say that, but most of the people that are drug addicts now went through that program. So we need something else. We need to augment it.
Do you guys reach out to the school district? Do they reach out to you?
Absolutely. We deal with the school district. I've ordered some new booklets. Amy Herman, who does their curriculum over there, we've talked about it. We've got some stuff for next school year to put in, from the little kids all the way up to the big kids. And again, these are smart children. These are not idiots. Our children in this town are top notch. Our school system in this town is top notch. They do good work, and we just have to give them real solid information. But we're behind, again, 2 generations where they grew up watching their aunts, uncles, and cousins do this stuff. And again, like we know, sometimes learned behavior is repeated behavior.
But it's a fundamental issue. We're dropping all of this onto the law enforcement and the education communities and expecting miracles.
This is a health care emergency for this country of biblical proportions that we have never seen before, that is going to get worse before it gets better. I wish I had better news than that. I hate to be the gloom and doom guy. That's usually his job. But that's the truth. It is going to get worse before it gets better. And the answers are going to be some hard scrabble answers. They're not going to be.
It's almost like Bill Murray's speech in Ghostbusters: cats and dogs
in the street. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, that's about where we are. I mean, it's a shame.
What's the youngest age where you've had to take drugs away from somebody? Young?
Early middle school.
Phew.
I had a kid in South Florida that was in 7th grade. Explained to me more about the marijuana trade on the street in my county than any 40-year-old had ever done.
Really?
He knew it inside and out, and he was free to tell me about it, which was good. And he was a good kid. He was actually a good student in school, but we caught him at the skate park, believe it or not. And the trade that was going on at the skate park was ridiculous. So it happens early, and it depends. You know, his dad was from California. He was a freewheeling guy, and he just learned that behavior from him. And folks, let me tell you something. Your children are watching you. You know, they're watching you they're watching you drive, they're watching you drink, they're watching you across the street, they're watching you talk to people. You know, they're doing it all.
But the good news is that can be corrected if a community pulls together and there's some impetus to do that.
I'm still extremely hopeful that, you know, we're going to come out of this properly. We always do. It's a great country. But we need to pay nationwide attention to it, and it's a nationwide scale thing. It's not one state at a time. It's not one city at a time. It's not one county at a time. We need a nationwide effort to recover, rehab, you know, and keep people out of jail for this, because we've just created an entire society that are narcotics addicts, an entire society. It's like a subculture. It's tough.
Well, Chief, before we part ways till the end of July, any final thoughts, anything you want to bring up before we head into the holiday weekend?
Just be careful and enjoy yourself. It's a great country, good day to honor it. I'll be doing it. Hot dogs, hamburgers. That's the important part. Just, you know, say, call your mama, call your daddy, do those kind of things. I think we're in good shape. You know, family's all we got.
Well, thanks for all you guys do, and be safe out there yourselves.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having us. I appreciate everything, and appreciate everything everybody does for us, too. This is a giving community.
That's good. Oh, real quick, Friday, you guys were busy with the the flooding in town, huh?
Directly in front of my home, actually. It was about 2 feet deep.
You all right there?
Yeah, I'm good. No, mine's on a hill. I'm lucky. But it was ugly. I'll tell you, people did well, though. They didn't drive through it. They drove around it.
Maybe a couple kids swimming.
Well, we had that one kid that was a little bit of trouble that we needed, you know, to give a little something to.
I heard the story of a guy standing there like, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, he drove through it and caused quite a wake. And, you know, remember, some of these people had water in their homes, and their basements were full, overflowing into the living room at this point. Wow. So there was a lot of water. It came up quick. We knew it was coming, and we still couldn't do anything about it. We drove down there and went, uh-oh, here it comes. And I was talking to your wife, actually, when it happened. So it's everybody did well. Everybody pulled together.
Made for a busy Friday, huh?
It was right in the middle of the afternoon. Yeah, yes. So it did make for a very busy Friday. A little late going home, but that's okay. It dried up just like everything else, comes and goes.
Yep. Chief Harold Minch joining us. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All righty. Final Look at News is coming up next.